Many of you have been enjoying the colder air and the snow in the United States over the past several days, and you might be thinking that we're going to go right back to heat waves and warmer weather. Not so fast, because in today's forecast we'll be breaking down a massive Arctic blast that'll impact over half the country over the next several days. But let's first begin talking about what's going to be happening across the United States over the next several days that'll lead into this Arctic blast. Beginning with the Northeast, which is where that winter storm is still ongoing this evening. It already brought severe weather to the southern half of the United States. It brought a couple of strong tornadoes yesterday. Along with that, it brought plenty of snow from Texas all the way back through New England now. And this will continue to move off to the north and east over the next 24 to 48 hours before it finally moves out of the United States. Our next system to watch, which will begin primarily tomorrow night into Friday, will be a pretty weak low pressure system. Millibar levels around 990 to 995, so it's actually on the stronger end in terms of pressure, but it's not going to bring a whole lot of precipitation. The only thing it'll bring is some very light snowfall to the Midwest going into tomorrow, and eventually heading into the weekend is when we'll have to watch another threat for maybe a low end chance for severe weather, but more concerningly, there might be a little bit of flooding that comes out of this event going into Saturday and as well as into Sunday. But first, beginning with the winter storm that is ongoing, the Midwest has been dealing with some light snow over the last 12 hours or so. This will continue throughout the rest of this evening into the overnight hours. Before tomorrow, there will still be a little bit of lingering snow. Very light amounts at anything will be ongoing, so we might see an additional coating to maybe an inch of snow in the Midwest. But the next system to watch will be going to late Thursday night into Friday morning. There will be some light to maybe pockets of moderate snow heading into the Midwest. Areas like Chicago could actually see some snow, which they are in a big snow deficit right now. So there is definitely going to be some snow coming toward your location. This will eventually move into Ohio and as well as into the Northeast as we head into late Friday night into Saturday morning. So additional snowfall accumulation looks like this. So we're not talking about a whole lot for the Midwest. If you're lucky, there will be pretty much a widespread coating to an inch, it looks like. But back over in Minnesota, a bit more notable snowfall totals, maybe upwards of 1 to 3 inches when this is all said and done. So a little bit more heavy snow back out that direction, but overall, it's not a winter storm by any means, just a nice little dusting for you if you're looking forward to some snow. Now, in terms of the temperatures, we're going to see a big pattern change as we head into next week, but beginning with today, the temperatures are actually well below average for a large chunk of the country. Only exception right now is the East Coast, where some of those areas have not yet seen that cold front that's rolled through the rest of the country. So that's going to be ongoing though over the next 24 hours, and by tomorrow afternoon, most of the United States will be below average. The exception again will be the next low pressure system that will bring slightly warmer conditions to the northern half of the United States, but that will not last long. We're going to see a massive pattern change as we head into the late parts of the weekend. Look at all these dark purples and as well as these pink colors. That is representing well below average temperatures, especially in the northern half of the country, which is where we're going to probably see the worst of this Arctic blast. Going into next week, this will continue. We're going to see this Arctic blast really just keep pummeling across areas in the northern half of the United States, primarily in the northern plains in the Midwest. By Wednesday and Thursday of next week, warmer weather may return for a little while, and then eventually going into the following week, a lot of uncertainty after that. But it does seem like we'll at least see some sort of Arctic blast for those back up in the northern half of the country. There is a question mark on whether it will maybe reach down into the southern plains like Texas and Oklahoma, or maybe a bit further to the south and east. We'll keep you posted with any new details there. But beginning with tomorrow morning, temperatures will be in areas like Minnesota, ranging from about -5 degrees to about 20 degrees, but this will all change. Again, that Arctic blast is going to bring really cold air over the weekend, so by Sunday morning, these are the temperatures and not even the wind chills. Temperatures will be sub-zero for a large chunk of the northern plains, the Dakotas, Montana, as well as areas like Wyoming and Minnesota, and even northern Wisconsin will be dealing with much colder air as we head into Sunday. Remaining half of the country, you can see Miami waking up to 72 degrees on Sunday morning, so there's a massive temperature contrast, almost 100 degrees across the country going into Sunday. Eventually, even into Monday, that colder air will continue to usher into the United States. How far south this gets is a bit of a question mark. We could see this even get as far south as areas like Texas, but again, we're kind of far out from that. We'll keep you posted if anything changes there. But wind chills going into Thursday morning, and I know this is about a week out, but about Thursday morning of next week, going into early February, we might see wind chills sub 30 in portions of Minnesota. I wouldn't even rule out some areas getting to sub 40 degrees across that region. So it's going to get really cold overall. For the remaining half of the country, we're really going to be talking about still fairly cold wind chills. This is just a wind chill loop. And as we go into next week, we'll be talking about pretty cold air. Now, this is the big question mark. Will this Arctic blast actually usher in to the southern plains? I'll keep you posted with any new details here. For now, it doesn't seem like it, but there's a chance that this does happen in areas like Texas get impacted by this, but we're still a little bit far out. We'll keep you posted with any new details. Back over into the central plains for tonight into tomorrow, by the way, primarily for tomorrow afternoon, wind gusts will get upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour across the central plains. So make sure you bring in any loose lawn items and make sure you're protecting plants, because wind gusts, even in areas like Missouri, could very well get upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour. Now, for the long term, in terms of big storms and anything that's going to bring severe weather, heavy snow, that sort of stuff, we don't really have any in at least the near future. There is going to be a possibility for a rainmaker that might bring some flash flooding to the southeast going into later this weekend. I'll have another update on that once we get a little bit closer. But going into next week, this is where the big question mark remains, is this low pressure system, where it develops and where it forms, and also how far north or south it'll be. It really will depend on this Arctic blast that we'll be seeing going into next week, because we will very likely see some sort of winter storm out of this, but where it sets up is a big question mark. For now, it does seem like this will impact the central United States back through the Midwest, but that could again shift further north or south depending on what happens over the upcoming days. That would likely bring a pretty big rainmaker as well as some snow to areas across the United States. We'll keep you posted with any new details there. Make sure to hit the like button down below and subscribe if you've not already. This forecast is brought to you by Platinum Contracting.